Yes,
Is that correct? Is
that's
that
true.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that's just a small part of it. I had seen that 2 weeks ago. And what she's talking about is there's a person who is telling the world what Italy's role was using the satellite, Italian government satellite.
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Yeah, I was hunting for Leonardo da Vinci, but the Leonardo, and they were changing votes, but there were many countries that were doing that, but it had to be controlled from China using hammer and scorecard, in my opinion, because you couldn't have so many different attacks, because you'd be changing numbers in all the 50 states. It just wouldn't match up. That has to be synchronized, and they all do it like it was late at night in Georgia, 11:30, but the president uses this case in point. You hear him giving his speech. This is in Michigan. At 06:31, there were, and it's like 142,722 votes changed to Biden. Now, the first time I heard him give that speech, I said, anyone that says 0631 on 4 November, wasn't 0630, wasn't about 6, it was 0631, and it was 142,722, whatever it is, I can't remember the exact number, but it means the president has that data. Now, he has all of this data, and how he's going to get it to the American people. Ann and I were talking to someone that's going to do more of what was just done in Italy, but show you the magnitude of it. Because we have watched it in real time, how that has changed. And the data is there, I've got it on my iPhone, that can tell you. So where people are saying there's no evidence, they're the same people that when someone was taking a picture down in Georgia, you remember, and they pull the cases from underneath the table, and you say, well, there's the evidence. Well, they say, well, you can't prove that. Look, this is a scorecard from Joseph Goebbels. If you tell a lie big enough, and that's what they're doing, and you see Pelosi, you see Schumer. Ann just told me that Pelosi called the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and they're trying to get him out on the 25th Amendment or to impeach him. Why? Well, because on Wednesday, they took Pelosi's laptop. She's frantic. There were some people in there that were special forces mixed with Antifa, and they took her laptop and they have that data. So you'd say, well, look, you only got 12 days or whatever it is till the 20th. Why worry about it? Just let them go out. No, they are terrified because they have that data. I believe they also have a source that is talking like a songbird. And the president is going to spring that person on us, so it will completely change, because it is someone that has said, I'm not going to do this. This is treason. Remember, this is treason, high treason.
Sir, could he use the emergency broadcast system or emergency action message to communicate this?
Did you see yesterday that an email went around telling everybody about the emergency broadcast system? So there are those little signals that you see. You see that what I saw was the September 18th or 19th executive order 2018 that if foreigners were involved in the U.S. election, the president could declare an emergency. That means he knew back 2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And that's why it's just all come together that COVID-19 was a biological attack. Let's not say it was an accident and it slipped out of a food market or anything. We're not that naive anymore. It's standard. Simultaneously, remember, when was the impeachment?
That's right.
Same time.
December and January, when COVID-19 was coming in. So they had that deception. The media, it's just like now. You look at the media and all they're doing is talking about Wednesday. So something's going on.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
That's all it is.
Military terms, it's a tactical deception.
And they allowed it, Congress gave them an refused not to give the delay because they said, oh, well, now these people are violent. So it was
Yeah.
also used for that purpose.
So
too.
that's how they played that,
Yeah.
and they knew it. And all I can say is, we must stand up. You are just like a young soldier
Amen.
at Normandy or the Battle of the Bulge. This is a critical time for the world, because if America goes down,
That's right.
my wife is ill, and so it was interesting. This morning, the night nurse. I've got 24/7 nurse care, so that's why I'm here. The night nurse said, "This is why we came here." She came from Haiti.
Wow.
She said, "This is what we tell her." She's got twins, a boy and a girl, 12 children, and she said, "My husband and I tell them this is why we came here,
Yeah.
for freedom." She understands it. So, yes.
We have church networks across the country. What would be certain points that we need to communicate to all our church networks around the country?
Well, I was on with Carla Dean last night, and there were like 625 civic leaders. And that's the question they asked me. And I think what we need to communicate is back the president, tell him how serious this is. This isn't just a fraudulent election. It is changing our whole lifestyle.
Engineer, yeah.
It's engineered. It's coordinated. The COVID-19, it has to be. Look at this. And what's going on, and we think it's because of medical. Dr. Fauci tells us,
Yeah.
well, we've got to shut everything down. Look at what they've done to the world. And look at the Republicans, the depth of this corruption. I had a call from a chap who was a congressman in Georgia, and he called me. He's trying to get General Flynn's because he's talking about corruption in other areas, what they've done. As I said, it's just yesterday that I found out that Comey sold the hammer and scorecard system to the Chinese. So we got a problem. Now, I happened to see this 4 years ago because I was the air attaché in London, and I was a vice commander at the 111 Wing in England, and then I was a commander of the 3rd Air Force when we attacked Tripoli in 1986, Gaddafi. I know the GCHQ, which is the Government Communications Headquarters, which is our equivalent of Fort Meade, NSA, Signals Intelligence. And what is important about it, when it started, the Russian collusion, and I saw how the information was coming out of the United Kingdom, they were falsifying it, creating all this, so-and-so said he's Russian. Well, that's the Saul Alinsky model. They were doing what they were accusing President Trump of doing what they were doing. Hillary paid him. So if you see the corruptness that's going on, and it has been how many years it's been going on, why did President Obama move to Kalorama, less than 3 miles here by the crow flies, have Valerie Jarrett move in with them, with her husband, and put a skiff in his home because of the Signals Intelligence? Now that's the danger. So in answer, you asked the right question. I don't know exactly what we need to do, except we must understand that this is pervasive. It is cut through our whole society. Every senator and House member of the Democrats know that Biden was elected unconstitutionally. I mean, is that the model for the future? Stay in your basement, have one rally with 14 people in a car blowing their horns? Please, it doesn't pass the sniff test. Wake up, America. That's what we've got to tell our neighbors. That's what we've got to tell our church group. And the people that say, well, there's no evidence. There's tons of evidence. Look for it. But how much has Fox News gone out? And I just started the 1st of November, a single person. I don't have people helping me. except Ann and these type, were on the air. But the fact is, they have not investigated when they say the data isn't real. There isn't evidence. What have they done to investigate it? The what?
Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Is it with FBI today?
I wouldn't give it to the
Don't know.
FBI.
Yeah, right. We don't
Someone
trust
else.
that.
Ann's
Okay.
got pictures of it.
Okay.
And I thought that was counter-information operations on us. But no, Ann, I've seen the laptop our special forces took out. That's why she's so frantic. Think about it. You only got, 12 days? The 20th day's the 8th? 12 days? Now let them go out. But they're calling, she calls the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The vice president misses the opportunity. And unfortunately, I believe the vice president's committed treason. Now, never would I have thought in these halls, after walking through the White House, and when my last job in the Air Force, I was the number 3 man in the Air Force, on the Air Staff, and I also did Vice President Gore's Reinventing Government. So I would go to the White House every 2 weeks with the whole federal government. I was the one person that represented the Department of Defense for Vice President Gore's Reinventing Government. I never would have thought what has transpired since that time frame. And so tell everybody, wake up, America. This is serious stuff. We're thinking what those soldiers that went across the Delaware in 1776 with George Washington, that's where you are now. That's where we are. Are we going to stand up for that? Yeah. Well, I've got to run, but God bless you.
The man you're about to see speak is a professor from Beijing called Di Dongcheng. This video was deleted from Chinese social media soon after being uploaded, and there's a reason for that, as you'll see.
特朗普政府跟我们打贸易战，那么我们为什么搞不定特朗普政府？啊，为什么以前1992年到2016年之间，中美之间各种问题都能搞得定？是不是？大家发现没有？所有的危机，不管是银河号事件，还是炸大使馆，还是撞了飞机，所有事情全部是床头吵架床尾和，2个月之内搞定。什么原因？啊，这儿我抛出一个可能又要是暴论了，就是因为咱们上边有人，啊，就是我们在美国的权势核心圈啊，我们有我们的老朋友。这个30年啊，过去40年，我们在美国的他的这个利用他权势核心圈，是不是？我前面讲过，华尔街在1970年代开始对美国它的内政外交有非常强的影响力，啊，所以我们有路径依赖，是吧？但问题是08年之后，华尔街的地位下降了，更重要的是16年之后，华尔街搞不定特朗普。为什么？很尴尬。特朗普以前对华尔街有过一次软性违约，所以双方有矛盾啊。当然，这个细节我就不多说了，时间可能已经来不及了，是吧？那么，这个中美贸易战过程中，他们也试图帮忙啊。据我所知，美方的朋友跟我讲，这个试图帮忙，但是啊，力有不逮啊。拜登上台了，传统的精英、政治精英啊，这个建制派。他们跟华尔街的关系是非常密切的，所以大家看到吧，拜登的儿子被特朗普说你在全球有什么基金公司，发现没有？谁帮他建的基金公司啊？明白吗？这个都有买卖啊。那么，所以这个时候。
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They can't figure out how they're going to deal with the corruption that exists within the system. I mean, they're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.